They had her standing at the edge of the formation, where the dust was thickest and the sun burned hardest. Sweat rolled down her neck, darkening the collar of her faded shirt, while boots thundered past in perfect rhythm. Someone laughed, then another. The sound spread, light and careless, like it belonged there. "Did she get lost?" a voice muttered. "No way she lasts a week," someone else whispered, not even trying to hide it. She kept her eyes forward. Not stiff, not afraid, just still. A drill instructor slowed as he passed her, looked her up and down, and shook his head. "This isn't a shelter," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. "It's boot camp. If you can't handle it, you shouldn't be here." A few recruits snorted, others smirked. One girl leaned toward her friend and whispered something that made them both laugh. She didn't answer. She didn't flinch. She didn't look away. Her hands stayed loose at her sides, fingers relaxed, as if the noise didn't touch her, but it did. You could feel it in the way she breathed, slow, measured, deliberate, like she was carrying something heavier than they could see. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to FOB Veteran Stories. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? Her name was Mara Caldwell. She was 24 years old, and on paper, she was just another recruit in a long line of names printed on a clipboard. No special designation. No visible rank. Just a number, a uniform, and a place in formation that always seemed to be at the edge. She had joined for reasons she never explained out loud. Not in the mess hall. Not in the bunks at night. Not even when the others asked her, half mocking, half curious, what had driven her to sign up. She always answered with the same quiet line. "Because I needed to." That was it. No speech, no tragic story, no patriotic monologue. Just those 3 words, spoken evenly, like a fact that didn't require further explanation. She looked wrong for the place, and everyone saw it. Her uniform always seemed a shade too worn, even when it was new. She kept her sleeves rolled lower than regulation until someone corrected her. Her boots were clean but scuffed, laced in a pattern that no one else used, tighter at the ankle, looser at the calf. She didn't stand with puffed pride or restless anxiety. She stood still. Too still. Her shoulders were relaxed, not slumped, but not squared in the way instructors liked. Her gaze never darted. It observed. That made people uncomfortable. Silence, in a place built on shouting, sounded like defiance. Her quietness was quickly labeled as weakness. The whispers began almost immediately. That she was slow. That she was fragile. That she was probably going to quit. Tyler Graves, loud and broad-shouldered, was the first to say it openly. He was built like a recruitment poster and knew it. During their second morning run, he glanced back at her and laughed. "She's gonna fold," he said. "You can tell." No fire. Laughter followed him like a reward. Kara Benton joined in later, sharper, crueler, always scanning for soft targets. She had a way of smiling when she humiliated people, like it was a game she'd mastered. She'd look Mara up and down and ask loud questions meant to sting. "You always this quiet," she'd say. "Or is this your first time being scared?" Mara never answered. And then there was Nolan Pike, not loud, not sharp, just casually dismissive. The kind who pretended people didn't exist when they didn't matter to him. He'd step in front of her without apology. Take the last seat. Grab the better gear. He treated her like empty space. Mara noticed everything. She noticed the way people flinched when boots slammed near them. The way voices changed when an instructor walked by. The way laughter rose in groups, but never alone. She studied patterns instead of reacting to them. Every morning, she tied her boots the same way. Slow. Methodical. Left lace crossed over right. Loop formed low, not high. Double knot tucked inward. No wasted movement. She inhaled through her nose for 4 counts. Held for 2. Exhaled for 6. No one taught her that. When insults came, she didn't harden. She softened. She let them pass through her like wind through tall grass. That didn't mean they didn't land. They did. You could see it in the way her jaw tightened for a fraction of a second, or how her fingers curled once before relaxing again. She never rolled her eyes. Never scoffed. Never looked offended. That made people angrier. At night, when the barracks finally went quiet, she sat on her bunk and cleaned her boots even if they were already clean. Not because they needed it, because it centered her. She watched the room like she was memorizing it. Lila Moreno noticed first. Lila wasn't loud. She wasn't dominant. She just had observant eyes and a soft way of speaking that made people forget she was listening. She sat across from Mara one night and slid her a protein bar without saying a word. Mara looked at it, then at her. "You dropped this," Lila said. Mara knew she hadn't. She took it anyway, nodded once. That was how their friendship began, not with conversation, with recognition. Lila started sitting near her during drills. Not too close, just close enough that Mara wasn't alone. Sometimes, when Kara said something sharp, Lila would mutter, "Ignore her," under her breath. Mara never responded. But she heard. The instructors didn't know what to make of her either. She wasn't failing, but she wasn't shining. She completed tasks with no flourish, no ego. No complaints, just quiet compliance. And that made her invisible. People like Tyler wanted someone to dominate. Kara wanted someone to embarrass. Nolan wanted someone to erase. Mara gave them nothing to grab. She didn't rush. She didn't panic. She didn't beg. And because of that, the story they told about her started to crack. "She's weird," Tyler said one afternoon. "Like she doesn't care." Kara smirked. "She cares. She's just scared to show it." Mara heard them. She always did. But she stayed focused on the small things, the dust patterns on the ground, the way the wind shifted before a whistle blew, the sound of boots behind her, not in front. She watched instead of reacting, and slowly, without meaning to, she made people curious. Not impressed, not respectful, just uncertain. And uncertainty, in a place built on dominance, was dangerous. By the end of the first week, the camp had decided what Mara Caldwell was. She was the quiet one. The slow one. The one who didn't belong. It started small. During morning formation, Tyler began, accidentally, stepping on the back of her boot when they lined up. Just enough pressure to make her stumble, not enough to be obvious. The first time, she caught herself. The second time, she adjusted her stance. The third time, she widened her footing slightly, distributing her weight differently. Tyler noticed. He frowned, confused, then grinned like it was a game. At the water station, Nolan always reached ahead of her, refilling his canteen first even when she'd been waiting longer. Kara laughed whenever it happened. "Aw, she's shy," Kara said once. "Let her have her turn when she's ready." Mara said nothing. She took the canteen when it was finally free and drank slowly, deliberately, as if thirst could be measured. In the mess hall, it got louder. That was where the crowd felt safest. No drills. No instructors hovering too close. Just noise, metal trays, steam, and the illusion of freedom. Tyler started it there. He leaned across the table one afternoon, eyes scanning her like a challenge. "You even talk, or is that not in your skill set?" A few people laughed. Mara lifted her spoon, took a bite, and kept eating. Kara tilted her head. Maybe she's saving energy. You know, for crying later. More laughter. Mara's jaw tightened, just once. Then it loosened. She kept eating. What would you have done in that moment? Would you have snapped back? Would you have stood up? Or would you have stayed silent, knowing that every reaction would become another thing for them to take from you? Later that night, someone hid her socks. Not all of them. Just one pair. She found the rest neatly stacked in her locker, but the missing pair meant she had to wear mismatched ones the next morning. It wasn't a big thing, But that was the point. People laughed when they noticed. Tyler made a show of pointing. Kara exaggerated her expression. Nolan shook his head like he was disappointed. Mara glanced down once, then adjusted her laces. During the obstacle course, they escalated. The course was brutal even on good days. Mud pits, rope climbs, low crawls, walls that scraped skin if you weren't careful. Tyler went before her and slipped, sending a spray of wet dirt backward. It coated her shirt and face. He turned, hands raised, all innocence. "Sorry," he said. "Didn't see you there." Someone laughed. Mara wiped her face with the back of her hand, slow and steady. The mud smeared, but she didn't rush to clean it. She waited. Then she climbed. Her grip was quiet. Her movements were economical. She didn't waste energy. She didn't struggle. She made it over the wall without slipping. People noticed. Not impressed, just surprised. The laughter didn't disappear, but it shifted. From loud to uncertain. In the locker room, Kara made it personal. She flicked Mara's towel off the bench and let it fall onto the wet floor. "Oops," Mara paused. Her fingers twitched. Just once. She bent down, picked it up, wrung it out, and folded it. She did not look at Kara. The room went quieter than it had been. Not silent. Just less loud. Would you have said something? Would you have demanded respect? Or would you have done what she did, taken control of the only thing that still belonged to you? The instructors started noticing too. Not because she was exceptional, because she wasn't breaking. Most people cracked under ridicule. They lashed out. They cried. They quit. Mara absorbed it, and that made her harder to define. During rifle drills, Nolan leaned over her bench and whispered, "You holding that thing like it's gonna bite you." Someone snorted. Mara adjusted her grip without comment. Her stance shifted. Her breathing slowed. The instructor paused behind her. Didn't say anything. Just watched. At lunch, Tyler slid into the seat across from her. Too close. "You don't like us, do you?" he asked. Mara looked up. For the first time. Just once. Her eyes met his. They weren't angry. They weren't scared. They were calm. "I don't know you," she said. Her voice was quiet, level. The table froze. Then laughter burst out, too loud, too forced. "Did you hear that?" Kara said. "She's got jokes." Mara went back to eating. But something had changed. They weren't just laughing anymore. They were watching. During night drills, it got crueler. Visibility was low. Everyone was tired. Mist hung in the air like a curtain. Someone loosened the strap on her pack. She felt it slipping as she ran. She adjusted without stopping. Someone kicked loose gravel in her path. She sidestepped. Someone whispered her name from behind. She didn't turn. But her breathing changed, just a fraction. When the whistle blew, Kara clapped slowly. "Wow," she said. "You didn't fall. Gold star." Mara's hands clenched. Then opened. She stared at the ground. Long enough to feel the weight. Then she lifted her head. Still quiet, still standing. Lila noticed. She always did. That night, Lila sat beside her and whispered, "You don't deserve that." Mara looked at her, didn't answer. But her eyes softened. Just a little. During inspection, an instructor ran a finger over the dust on Mara's locker. "You trying to make a statement?" he asked. "No, sir," she said. Her voice was steady. The instructor stared at her for a long second, then moved on. Behind him, Kara rolled her eyes. In the mess hall, someone accidentally knocked over Mara's drink. It spilled across her tray, soaking her bread. Laughter. Mara stared at it. Then she lifted the bread, folded it, and ate it anyway. The room slowed, not silent, but different. People started glancing at her when they thought she wasn't looking. Trying to understand. Not her weakness. Her restraint. Because restraint made no sense here. Boot camp rewarded noise, dominance. Reaction. Mara gave them none. One afternoon, Tyler shoved past her on the stairs, harder than necessary. She stumbled. Her hand hit the railing. She steadied herself. For a split second, something flashed across her face. Not fear, not pain. Something else. Control. She exhaled slowly. Counted. Then kept walking. Would you have turned around? Would you have confronted him? Or would you have done what she did? Carry on, knowing that reacting would give them exactly what they wanted. By the third week, the laughter had thinned. Not gone, but quieter. People didn't joke as freely around her. They watched her. They waited for her to break. And she never did. Instead, she adapted. She moved differently, stood differently, breathed differently. She learned when insults were coming. Not by listening, by reading posture. She shifted away before shoves landed. She adjusted before pranks worked. Not because she was afraid, because she was aware. One evening, Kara whispered, "What is wrong with you?" Mara didn't answer. She didn't have to. The question followed her down the hall. People started using her name differently. Not mockingly, cautiously. "Did you see Mara today?" She didn't even react. How does she do that? She became a puzzle, and puzzles make people uneasy. By the end of the month, the cruelty hadn't stopped, but it had lost its rhythm. There were no more easy laughs, no more effortless victories. Because every time they tried to humiliate her, they walked away with less power than before. And they could feel it. Even if they couldn't explain it. Mara Caldwell was still quiet. Still at the edge of formation. Still wearing scuffed boots and faded fabric. But now, when she stood in line, people didn't lean into her space as much. When she walked through the mess hall, conversations paused. Not because she was respected. Because she was unknown. And unknown, in a place built on certainty, was dangerous. The anger was still there. From them. From the audience. But now there was something else. Curiosity. And curiosity was only the beginning. By the 5th week, people had stopped laughing the same way. They still joked, still whispered, still tried to provoke her. But now, every laugh had a question inside it. Every insult came with a pause, like they were waiting to see how she would respond. Because she was no longer predictable, it began with something small. During morning stretches, when everyone else bent forward stiffly or slouched through the motions, Mara moved differently. Not better, just controlled. Her spine stayed aligned. Her shoulders never hunched. Her balance never wavered, even when others swayed. A medic named Sergeant Hale noticed. He had seen thousands of recruits, the way they favored old injuries, the way fear tightened their posture, the way exhaustion dragged their heads down. Mara did none of that. She stood like gravity was optional. Hale watched her from across the yard, brow furrowed, pretending to adjust his clipboard. Later, during breathing drills, he noticed something else. Most recruits inhaled sharply, panicked, loud. Mara breathed through her nose. Low, silent. Even. 4 counts in. 2 held. 6 out. Hale paused beside her. "You got asthma?" he asked. "No, sir," she said. Her voice was steady. Too steady. He nodded and moved on. But he kept looking back. The tattoo was first hinted at during hand-to-hand drills. The gym was hot. The air was thick with sweat and rubber mats. Shirts clung to skin. Movements became sloppy. Mara's collar slipped slightly when she ducked under a strike. Just a fraction. Just enough. Lila saw it. A dark line. Curved. Not decorative. Not playful. Something sharp in its shape. Lila frowned, then blinked. When she looked again, the collar had shifted back. Later that night, she asked quietly, "You got ink?" Mara paused, just for a breath, then nodded. "That's not allowed, right?" Lila asked. Mara didn't answer. Lila didn't push. In the rifle range, another crack formed. The recruits were still learning basics: grip, sight alignment, breath control. Mara moved through it like she had done it before, not memorized. Remembered, her hands didn't shake. Her fingers rested where they should without being told. She adjusted the sling once, subtly, and the rifle settled into her shoulder like it belonged there. Nolan snorted. "You're holding it wrong." She glanced at him. Then back to the rifle. She made one small adjustment. The instructor paused, not because she hit a bullseye, because of her stance. He stepped closer, looked at her feet, then her shoulders, then her hands. He hesitated, just a second too long, then walked away. During a night drill, she said something that didn't belong. They were crawling under wire, mud streaked across their faces, breath burning in their lungs. Someone ahead panicked. The line stalled. A voice whispered, "Move, move, move." Mara murmured, barely audible. "Spacing. Don't bunch." "They'll hear it." "They?" Tyler frowned. "What?" he whispered. She didn't repeat it. The word lingered. They. During sleep, things got stranger. The barracks were never truly quiet. There were coughs, whispers, soft crying sometimes. One night, Lila woke to hear Mara speaking. Not loudly, not clearly. Just fragments. "Angle, no, not yet, wait for the shift." Then a name. A name that didn't belong to anyone there. Lila strained to hear. Mara turned slightly in her sleep. Her brow furrowed. "Virex," she whispered. Then she went silent. Lila lay awake long after, staring at the ceiling. The word meant nothing. And yet, it felt heavy. During formation the next morning, Tyler tried to mock her again. "Hey, sleep talker," he said. "You practicing your lines?" No one laughed. Not like before. Some people glanced at her neck. Not obviously, just checking. During physical endurance testing, Kara tried something new. She deliberately took the wrong turn during a navigation drill, then blamed Mara. "You were leading," she said. "You messed it up." Mara paused. The group waited. She inhaled. Slow. She didn't defend herself. She just turned around, walked 3 paces. Pointed. "Marker's wrong," she said quietly. The instructor checked. She was right. Kara stared, not angry, confused. The drill instructor looked at Mara longer than necessary, then nodded once, and said nothing. That was worse than praise. The whispers grew. "Did you see her grip? She didn't even flinch. Did you hear what she said last night? What's on her neck?" Suspicion crept in, not admiration. Not yet. Just the slow realization that something didn't add up. Sergeant Hale cornered her one afternoon by the water station. "You ever had training before?" he asked. "No, sir. Not a lie, not the truth." He studied her face, her eyes, her stillness. Then he nodded. But he didn't look convinced. Even Tyler hesitated now before shoving her. Even Kara watched her reactions more closely. They weren't trying to humiliate her anymore. They were trying to understand her, and that scared them. Because it meant she wasn't what they had decided she was. She was something else. Something quiet. Something measured. Something they didn't have a name for. And in a place built on labels, that was dangerous. By the end of the week, people weren't laughing when she walked past. They were watching. And no one could explain why. The shift didn't come with applause. It came with confusion. It happened during the urban response drill, a scenario designed to overwhelm recruits with noise, movement, and time pressure. Smoke machines pumped thick gray fog into a mock village. Sirens wailed. Instructors shouted conflicting orders on purpose. Panic was part of the lesson. Teens were told to secure a narrow alley, extract a dummy casualty, and retreat within 3 minutes. No one managed it. Not at first. Tyler's group rushed in, loud and fast, tripping over each other. They missed the casualty entirely. Kara's team froze halfway through, arguing about which direction to move. Nolan's group got boxed in and stalled, unsure what to do next. Mara was assigned to a mixed group of misfits, people the instructors didn't expect much from. She didn't lead. She didn't speak. She watched. The smoke swirled. Footsteps echoed. Voices overlapped. Someone panicked and tried to sprint. Mara touched his arm. Just once. Not forceful. Firm. Wait, she said. He stopped. Not because she was loud. Because she was calm. She crouched. Tilted her head. Listened. Then she pointed. Not forward. Sideways. There's a back channel, she said. How do you? Someone started. She was already moving. She slid through the fog, staying low, using the walls for reference. She didn't hesitate at intersections. She didn't guess. She knew. They found the casualty in under a minute. She lifted the dummy with careful efficiency, positioning it so the weight was distributed evenly. No strain. No struggle. She guided them out the way they'd come, not the way everyone else was trying. When they emerged, breathing hard, covered in dust, the instructors were staring. Not impressed. Confused. Captain Rourke stepped forward. He was tall, sharp-eyed, with a voice that cut through noise without effort. How did you find the casualty? He asked. Mara shrugged. Sound bounced wrong, she said. That's not an answer, he said. It is, she replied quietly. He stared at her. Then nodded once. And walked away. She didn't look after him. She went back to formation. No smile. No glance around. No reaction. But the people around her were staring now. Not laughing. Watching. In the mess hall that night, Kara tried to reassert control. She slid into the seat beside Mara and leaned in. So what? You're special now, she said. You think one lucky drill changes anything? Mara kept eating. Kara reached over and nudged her tray. Say something. Mara paused. Her fingers tightened, just a fraction. Then she let go. I'm eating, she said. Her voice was level. The table went quiet. Tyler laughed too loudly. See? Still weird. But it didn't land, not the same way. People kept glancing at Mara, not with mockery, with questions. The next day, it happened again. This time, during a long-range coordination drill. Teens were supposed to relay information across a field using hand signals. Most of them messed it up. Signals crossed. Messages got garbled. Frustration spread. Mara stood at the back of her line, watching. When it was her turn, she didn't use the standard gestures. She altered them. Subtle. Simplified. Clear. Her team got the message in one go. The instructor frowned. Who taught you that? He asked. No one, she said. He hesitated, then wrote something on his clipboard. By lunchtime, rumors were forming. She's trained. No, she's just lucky. That wasn't luck. She's hiding something. Mara sat alone, as usual. Lila joined her. People are talking, Lila whispered. Mara nodded. They always were, she said. But now it's different, Lila replied. Mara looked at her. Lila swallowed. They're scared. Mara didn't respond. But she knew. You could feel it. The way Tyler paused before making jokes. The way Kara watched her from across the room, calculating. The way Nolan avoided eye contact. During sparring drills, the shift became visible. Mara was paired with Nolan. He smirked. "Don't worry," he said. "I'll go easy." She didn't answer. When the whistle blew, she moved, not aggressively. Efficiently, she didn't attack. She redirected. Every time he lunged, she stepped aside. Every time he tried to grab, she slipped free. She never struck. She let him exhaust himself. Then she gently pushed him back. He stumbled. Not dramatic. Just enough. The whistle blew. Nolan stared at her, breathing hard. She stepped back. No triumph. No smirk. No acknowledgement. The instructor blinked, then scribbled something down. By evening, Captain Rourke was watching her, not obviously. From the corner of his eye. From the edge of the field. He didn't confront her. He didn't praise her. He just observed. That was worse. Tyler tried harder. He shoved her in line. Louder now. More obvious. "Move," he snapped. She moved. But not backward. Sideways. He stumbled. Caught himself. Looked around. No one laughed. Kara escalated. She waited until Mara's shirt was damp with sweat from drills. Then she flicked water at her. On purpose. "Oops," she said. Mara's hand lifted. Just once. Her fingers curled. Then she lowered it. She wiped her face. Slow. Careful. Looked at Kara. Not angry. Not pleading. Just present. Kara's smile faltered. "What?" she snapped. "Nothing," Mara said. But it sounded like something. People had started noticing the way she moved. How she never rushed. How she never froze. How she never panicked. She reacted, but not emotionally, functionally. During a simulated evacuation drill, an instructor intentionally gave conflicting orders to see who would break. Most people did. They argued, yelled, panicked. Mara tilted her head. Listened, then took 3 people and moved them to a sheltered corner. She waited. When the orders aligned, she moved them back. Captain Rourke noticed. He walked up to her afterward. "You didn't follow my command," he said. "No, sir," she replied. "Why?" "You were testing us," she said. His brow furrowed. "And?" I waited for clarity. Silence. "You're not supposed to think," he said. She looked at him. Not defiantly. Not submissively. "Then why test us?" she asked. People nearby stopped moving. Rourke stared at her. Long. Then he nodded. "Return to formation," he said. She did. No smile. No reaction. But the air had changed. That night, Tyler confronted her in the hallway. "You think you're better than us," he said. Mara stopped walking. Turned. Faced him. For the first time. "No," she said. "Then why do you act like that?" he snapped. "Like what?" Like none of this matters, Mara thought. Just for a second. Then said, "It does." Her voice softened. "Just not the way you think." He didn't know what to say. She walked past him. He didn't follow. What would you have done? Would you have finally defended yourself? Would you have taken the moment to prove them wrong? Or would you have done what she did, left them with questions instead of answers? Captain Rourke began calling her to the front during drills. Not to praise, to watch. He'd give her vague instructions. See what she did. She always found the most efficient solution, not flashy, not brave, precise. The bullies didn't know what to do with that. You can't mock what you don't understand. And you can't dominate what doesn't react. Kara tried one last time. She sabotaged Mara's gear before a long march, loosened the straps, shifted the weight. Mara felt it immediately. Adjusted. Didn't say anything. Halfway through the march, Kara tripped. Her pack slipped. She fell, hard. Mara was the one who helped her up, not with a smile. Not with smugness. Just help. The group stared. Kara pulled away. Confused, embarrassed, humbled. The power dynamic cracked. Not dramatically. Quietly. By the end of the week, no one was laughing anymore. They were watching her. Not with contempt, with uncertainty. Because respect had begun forming, not loudly, not publicly, but in the pauses, in the hesitations, in the way people waited to see what she would do. And the most unsettling part was this: she never seemed to notice. Or if she did, she didn't care. Mara Caldwell remained exactly the same, quiet, controlled, focused. But the world around her was shifting, and no one knew why. Not yet. It happened during close combat drills. The gym was loud with bodies hitting mats, boots scuffing rubber, instructors barking commands that echoed off the walls. Everyone was tired, sweat-soaked, irritable. That was when people slipped and tempers showed. Tyler had been waiting for a moment like this. He circled Mara with exaggerated confidence, rolling his shoulders, smirking for the others. "Don't worry," he said. "I won't break you." Some people laughed. Mara didn't respond. The whistle blew. Tyler lunged too hard, too fast, trying to overwhelm her. She sidestepped, redirected. He stumbled, caught himself, then grabbed at her collar, more aggressive than the drill required. The fabric shifted. Just a little. Just enough. A dark shape appeared beneath the edge of her collar, right at the base of her neck, curved. Sharp. Intentional. A hush rippled through the room, not because they understood what it was. Because one man did. Colonel Abram Hensley had been observing quietly from the back, arms crossed, expression unreadable. He was there for a routine evaluation, nothing more. No one had been paying him much attention. Until he froze. His eyes locked on Mara. Then on the mark. His posture changed. Not subtly, completely. He took one step forward, then another. The room slowed. Tyler still had his hand on her collar. "Let go," Hensley said. His voice wasn't loud. It was precise. Tyler dropped his grip immediately. Mara adjusted her shirt without comment. The tattoo was gone again. But it was too late. Hensley stood in front of her now. Staring, not inspecting. Recognizing. His face drained of color. The noise in the gym faded. Instructors stopped moving. Conversations died mid-sentence. Hensley straightened. Not with authority. With respect. He didn't ask a question. He didn't demand answers. He simply raised his hand. And saluted. Not sharply. Not theatrically. Slow. Deliberate. The room forgot how to breathe. Mara didn't move. Didn't flinch. Didn't react. She just stood there, eyes forward. Hensley lowered his hand. His voice, when he spoke, was different. Lower, careful. "Where did you get that mark?" he asked. Mara hesitated. Just long enough to feel the weight. Then she answered. "From someone who taught me how to survive," she said. That was all. Hensley swallowed. He nodded once. Hard. Like it hurt. Like it hurt. He turned to the instructors. "Drill's over," he said. No one questioned him. People stared. Not at the colonel. At Mara. But she wasn't looking at anyone. She was breathing. Slow. Measured. Like nothing had changed. But everything had. The laughter never came back. Not that day. Not after. Because something had just been recognized. And no one in that room was allowed to ask what it meant. They were still standing there when Colonel Hensley returned. No one had been dismissed. No one had spoken. The mats were quiet, the air thick with confusion and something else no one could name. Mara stood exactly where she had been when he left, hands relaxed at her sides, eyes forward, breathing slow. Tyler hadn't moved. Kara hadn't blinked. Nolan kept glancing between the colonel and Mara, as if waiting for someone to explain what had just happened. Hensley walked back into the center of the gym with deliberate steps. Not rushed, not dramatic, just steady. Every footfall sounded louder than it should have. He stopped in front of Mara. Not close. Respectfully distant. He looked at her, really looked at her, not like a recruit, not like a problem to solve, but like a presence that demanded care. "You will remain here," he said quietly. She nodded. "Yes, sir." His eyes flicked to the instructors, then to the recruits lined along the walls. "Everyone else," he said, "stand at ease." No one moved. He repeated it. "Stand. At ease." They obeyed. Slowly. Uneasily. Hensley turned back to Mara. He studied her collar, now carefully adjusted. The mark was hidden again, but it didn't matter. He had already seen it. "Some of you," he said, voice carrying without force, "have been treating this recruit as if she were invisible." Silence. "You've mistaken quiet for weakness," he continued. Stillness for fear, restraint for failure. Kara's face drained. Tyler's jaw tightened. Nolan stared at the floor. Hensley did not raise his voice. He didn't need to. "There are things in this world," he said, "that do not announce themselves." He turned slightly, so the room could see his profile, but his eyes never left Mara. "There are people," he added, "who do not perform their strength." Mara did not react. Not a muscle moved. Hensley took a breath. Then he did something no one expected. He stepped aside and gestured for her to stand in front of him. She hesitated for half a second, then stepped forward. No swagger. No pride. Just movement. He raised his hand again and saluted her. This time sharper, not ceremonial. Not exaggerated. Real. The sound of his hand against his brow was loud in the quiet. Mara froze. Not in fear, in disbelief. She had not expected this. Her fingers twitched. She swallowed. Then, slowly, she raised her own hand. Not perfectly, not dramatically, but with sincerity, she returned the salute. The room felt like it stopped breathing. No one laughed. No one whispered. No one even shifted. You could see it on their faces. The moment something rearranged itself inside them. Kara's mouth was slightly open. Tyler's confidence collapsed inward like a tent without poles. Nolan looked small. Hensley lowered his hand. "So long as you are here," he said, "this recruit is to be treated with the same respect you would offer any of your own instructors." A few people blinked. Instructors? He didn't say it twice. He turned to Mara again. "You owe no one an explanation," he said quietly. "You never did." Her throat tightened. "Just once." She nodded. "Yes, sir." The way she said it, soft, controlled, made it heavier than any speech could have. Hensley turned away. And that was it. No ceremony. No applause. No dramatic reveal. Just a shift. But it was total. The way people looked at her changed, not with awe. With caution. With humility. With something dangerously close to understanding. Kara couldn't meet her eyes. Tyler took a step back without realizing it. Nolan swallowed. No one needed to be yelled at. No one needed to be punished. They were undone by the silence, by the weight of what they had just witnessed. Mara returns to her place in line, not elevated, not proud, just herself. But now, when she stood there, no one crowded her space, no one joked, no one whispered, because they had all felt it, that something had just been acknowledged, and that they had been wrong. And that, in a place built on strength, nothing was more powerful than quiet honor. Nothing about Mara Caldwell changed after that. She didn't walk differently. She didn't speak more. She didn't lift her chin or straighten her shoulders to match the new attention that followed her. She still tied her boots the same way each morning, slow and precise. She still breathed the same way, still watched more than she spoke. The camp, however, was no longer the same. Conversations quieted when she passed. Not out of fear, but out of awareness. People made space for her without being told. Not dramatically, just naturally, like they'd learned something about gravity. Kara stopped making jokes. Not because she was afraid, but because she didn't know how anymore. The words that once came so easily now felt hollow in her mouth. Tyler no longer shoved past her in line. He stood behind her, eyes down, unsure of his place. Nolan avoided her entirely. No one apologized. And she never asked for one. Lila stayed beside her, just as she always had. One evening, she whispered, "You could tell them." Mara shook her head. "Tell them what?" Lila asked. "Anything," she said. Mara considered that. Then said, "It wouldn't help." She wasn't wrong. People wanted explanations. Stories, legends, something they could package and understand. Mara gave them none of that. She finished drills, ate her meals, completed her assignments, the same way she always had. Quietly, the instructors began watching her differently too. Not suspicious, not evaluative. Respectfully, they didn't single her out. They didn't parade her around. They simply stopped underestimating her. And that was enough. The strange thing was how much heavier silence became. Not uncomfortable, not awkward. Reverent. People began noticing each other more. Not mocking, not measuring. Just seeing. It was as if her presence reminded them that strength wasn't loud. That it didn't need witnesses. That it didn't perform. Strength could be still. It could be patient. It could be disciplined. Mara never once corrected anyone's assumptions. Never clarified what they thought they saw. Never leaned into the mystery or pushed it away. She just lived. And in doing so, she taught them something without ever saying a word. Because real strength does not demand recognition. It does not explain itself. It does not shout. It stands. And lets the world decide how to meet it. The narrator might have said that heroism comes with noise, with banners, with speeches. But that day, in that camp, they learned something quieter. That courage can be invisible. That dignity can be mistaken for weakness. And that the most powerful people in the room are often the ones who never ask to be noticed. Moral line: true strength doesn't announce itself. It waits and lets the world learn. Stories like Mara's don't always make headlines. They don't come with speeches or applause. Sometimes they pass quietly through a place, changing people without ever asking for credit. And maybe that's why they matter so much. If you've ever felt underestimated, unheard, or judged before anyone truly knew you, this story was for you. Strength doesn't always look the way people expect it to. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like simply showing up day after day without needing to prove anything. Thank you for being part of this community, where stories of courage, dignity, and quiet resilience are honored. Your presence here keeps these stories alive. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more FOB veteran stories. These stories keep the courage alive for generations to come.